I was in a place where I really needed this kind of thing. I had all kinds of biblical input in my life and various things. I mean, I'm a pastor. I had lots of relationships. But what I didn't feel like I had were guys who knew me deeply and loved me deeply, even despite what they knew that wasn't so good. But guys who would actually help me on my spiritual journey towards Christ-likeness. I said, who's going to help me be faithful in my walk with Christ through the years to come? And I needed guys that I would meet with regularly, not guys that I would occasionally see. I need someone who'd be able to follow up week after week. So that was my experience coming into the group.
There's this freshness in the group to me that as much as you were giving us the rails and some leadership in what we were doing from week to week, each of us had a very unique voice that was supposed to be heard at the table. God's given us all different things, right? And we were able to hear each other and kind of just really unpack some things that we kind of felt this truths that God had placed firmly in our hearts, and hear things from different perspectives and challenge one another and encourage one another. So those sorts of seeds that we were already seeing planted that ended up growing into some pretty incredible relationships.
I would agree with you on that, and I think there's something about it that our faith was becoming more and more practical, not theoretical. Yes, I know I'm going to heaven. Jesus died on the cross for my sins. All those things are all true. But why am I struggling so much in my marriage? Why couldn't I scratch up 6 guys to be pallbearers at my funeral? Like, there was a disconnect. And I was finding that as the group was formed, it was like connecting the theoretical with the practical part of our faith, that God wanted us to really apply all these truths. And it seemed like we were starting to figure it out.
I think of being in the early years of marriage, and you were as well at that time with Carla.
That's right.
For many, those would be considered the danger zone years. But really getting a sense from Nicole earlier on that she wanted me involved. And there was something that was coming home with me that might not have been there in the way that God worked it, were it not for the group. And there was something that I was bringing back to my marriage in those early years that was an encouragement to her. And talking with a daughter a couple nights ago who's talking about wanting to get going in a Nextlevel Group herself a couple of decades later. And so obviously there's something that's happened that started back then that God has used in ways that have sustained us and encouraged us. The encouragement, I can't overstate that. The encouragement that's come through doing what we did together in that season.
I was going to say, I think in alignment with that is, generally speaking, I think the early group, for me anyway, provided a sense of hope. Hope in the sense that things don't have to be the way they always are. And you don't have to settle for mediocrity in the Christian life. And you don't have to feel hopeless and give up because you look around and you just see no one wants to move forward in their spiritual life. Where are these people? But seeing that when Lyle started our initial group, that gave me hope. And it gives me hope, and it should give all of us hope, in whatever kind of thing we want to attempt for the Lord, that it is possible and that fruit can come out of it. And we should just keep pressing on, even though everything around us may look hopeless. We can have, God was gracious enough to give us that group and provide, I think, all of us with that sense of hope to move forward for God.